Something that I don't believe has come up on this channel thus far is that I am a pro wrestling fan. I haven't watched WWE in several years, but I like me some AEW and I love me some New Japan Pro Wrestling. And thus I found myself on the YouTube channel of Puro Wave, via recommendation from OSW Review, watching the various excellently produced retro style highlight packages of all the greatest wrestlers in Japanese history. One such video that you can hopefully see playing in the background unless it gets copyright claimed was made on Kazuchika Okada, a man who, in my opinion, is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. And do you hear that? That music? Puro Wave, as you can guess from the title, uses dreamwave, vaporwave music in the background of his videos. Listen to that. That's the sound of an absolute banger. So yes, an hour after first watching this video, I had looked up the song, looked up the album it's on, and listened to the lot. A day later, I have listened to the entire thing twice more and have begun writing this essay. Why? This record, I feel, is the perfect representation of the undefinable vibe that all wave music aims for. I'm Royston Charmaine, and this is Exploring the Concept. For the origins of surfing, I can't put it more succinctly and beautifully than their Bandcamp bio, so I'm just going to read from it. Surfing was born in Melbourne in 2011 out of a desire for creative freedom. Coming together from contrasting musical paths, Penny Van Hazelberg and Leroy Honeycomb draw on these differences to create art that represents them both as individuals and an entity. Their 2019 record Emotion is a departure from their previous work, focusing on their own instrumentation rather than using samples, and as I mentioned before, I haven't been able to stop spinning it since discovering it. This album represents the chilled atmosphere that all music of this kind strives to achieve, and it does it wonderfully. The record does include vocals and lyrics, but they are mostly unimportant to the concept of the record and indeed this video. I will mostly be focusing on the feelings that I glean from the music and how successfully the music instills them within me. As ever, my opinions are my own and are not influenced by what the artists themselves have stated or intended. All clear? Okay, let's go. This is the vibe that Arctic Monkeys were shooting for on their Tranquility-based Hotel and Casino record. For my money, they did a good job of it, but this track from Surfing shows them how it's really done. There's a ghost in the mechanism, sending chills through everyone within earshot. An eerie presence that flatters to deceive. Relaxing and yet oddly unsettling. This is the dystopian lounge act that every modern rock band is attempting to become. This song is the auditory equivalent of a cool draft, of a feeling that keeps you looking over your shoulder. A brilliant statement track to throw down as the first on an album. The use of negative space to begin, following on from the previous track's ghostly vibe, keeping the listener from feeling completely comfortable in its presence. This song is sitting in a smoky hotel lounge, drinking alone, contemplative. The excitement and rabble begins around you without ever quite involving you or piquing your interest. And yet there is something present in the melody that tugs at your subconscious, a longing, a desire. The track that began it all, this riff. This song is impossible not to move to, inside and out. Still slightly off kilter, still with that unsettling presence, and yet now we're liking it. The vibe is inescapable, the groove undeniable. This track rolls and sways in an almost drunken fashion, a blur of a party where one too many slid their way down your throat, coating your brain in a fog of laughter and bad decisions. This is casting off darkness and loneliness in favour of taking chances at fun. With the epiphany moment of visions in the rear view, we cruise with the top down, shades on, top button undone. Why not? Life is good, the sun is shining, let's make hay. This is the epitome of what I want in my easy listening rock. Take me on a journey through all of my happiest, brightest memories. The pulsing beat, the funk elements, the relentless energy, perfection. This song is happiness in auditory form. I adore it. This track for me is the best on the record. It just flows so effortlessly that 5.5 minutes drop free from life in a moment. This track is hope of an improving life, stubborn to a fault. As I write this essay, I see that I'm projecting my lockdown persona onto this music. But it's so perfect for it that I can't help but to do so. And that's the aesthetic that this is designed to create. Lonely happy, anxious relaxed. What we are right now is far from fine, but it's fine for now. Oxymorons are fun. Oh no, we're back in Seville, in that opening track of unease and disillusionment. Is this temporary, or are we just reminding ourselves of where we are? This track is an intentional come down after the last few tracks of gradually building happiness and acceptance. A reality check for the listener. It isn't going to be warm sunshine and smelling roses from here. Acceptance is fine, but there's a tough road ahead. The energy picks up with that bass line, a groove to bob to find focus and beat that funk. Speaking of funk, just listen to that guitar line and try not to think of every night out prep you've ever done. That feeling of excitement tinged with nerves. Your crush will be there and you're painfully aware of it. You will be suave, you will impress, you have to believe. This album really shows off Surfing as masters of this craft. The vibes here are extraordinary. The ghosts have returned with a vengeance, creeping us out with their ethereal presence, calling to attention every hair on the backs of our necks. Psycho, fittingly, feels like being stalked through a cold night, the chill biting at our subconscious as we feel more than see a spectre follow behind. The way this record switches back and forth between chill vibes and serial killer taunts is jarring. If this were not something also present within the tracks themselves, I might believe it unintentional, but it isn't. Each summer jam has a tinge of evil. Each haunting melody has a soothing tone. We aren't switching from one to the other, rather on a constantly swaying pendulum between the two. This dichotomy is no better explored than in Give You Up. Everything about the musicianship is bright and cheery, apart from that deep, dominating bass line that serves to keep us from fully embracing the happiness. The vocal performances add to this. One voice level and clear, the other pitched down and distorted beyond recognition. Never Gonna Give You Up takes a new meaning in this context. Or does it? It's intentionally inconclusive. How else could this record end but with a deeply unnerving track entitled Bliss? Of course. This is the juxtaposition that every aesthetic artist aims for and almost non-achieve. Emotion by Surfing is one of the best Headspace records I've ever encountered, and it will remain in my Hall of Chosen indefinitely. This album is the darkness and the light. The crossroads between depression and hope, a haven for the confused minds to settle into and discover that feeling these two opposing emotions is perfectly fine and normal. It's no mystery why an album like this is striking me at a time like this, with Britain's third lockdown just announced. These are the times when we need good music the most, to help us calibrate what we do with life now that it's in the state that it's in. This vibe, this chilled but reflective energy is exactly what I needed, and I hope you find solace in it too. If you enjoyed this video and fancy a few more, there are plenty on my channel, so like, comment, subscribe, etc. I post updates for free on my Patreon feed and you can chuck me a few quid if you fancy. This has been Exploring the Concept. I've been Royston Charmaine, and until next time, peace and love.